was just that whole just the freedom and you know, and really just being on your own for the first time was
Yeah.
kind of an exciting thing. In a
Yeah.
place that was, it was Camp of the Woods, right?
Yeah.
It
Did you ever,
was.
did you ever stay in Boys Park?
I did.
Okay.
So the first 2 years, so 80 and 81, I was in Boys Park.
Did you throw rocks?
Well, I Don and I were talking about this a little bit in the summer, and he was like, "I don't understand that." And I
No.
think it started, and apparently it was going on before I got up there when I was 15, because
Okay.
it was either the first or second night I was up there. We thought, again, what are we doing with rocks? Well, there was a cabin when you went from Boys Park down to the dining hall and you passed the old Pop Tibbetts house. There was a cabin up there kind of between them, and it had a little bit of a porch on it. And so, we thought it would be a good idea to get a rock that two of us had to carry, and heave this thing up on the porch, not realizing that the cabin was probably, 50 years old at that point. And so we heaved it up on the porch and it literally like right through. So that might have been like Friday night. I got up there Friday afternoon. I worked my first dish shift, Friday evening. And so then Saturday, I got to meet Jerry Bird with the two or three other knuckleheads that decided to lob this bomb through the porch. And I learned how to install a deck because Jerry came up with the equipment. He was like, "You guys are doing this." So, so
Wow.
then the work crew, and this is kind of poetic, the work crew was, we had to go down to the point and pick the rocks up out of the water because we had a thing for rocks. So pick those up and then heave them back up on the point to kind of rebuild the point.
Wow.
But I think it started like, if you took the rock like the size of a baseball and you lobbed it up and it landed on the roof, it would probably scare the snot out of whoever was like
Yeah.
sleeping in the bunk underneath that.
Okay.
And I think then it just got to like, hey, let's put a rock through the wall of the cabin, and you could really scare the people inside. But I was up there, so I was up there 80, 81, and then 82, 83, I was behind the field house.
Oh yeah,
And
that's what
then
I remember.
84, I was in the gatehouse.
Okay.
So now I think I was in 83. Did you come down like when you were like young staff at the end of the summer? I think
And
you were in my cabin and
end of '83 with I think Ed Shoot and maybe Cliff. No, Cliff had left. Maybe that's why I was there because he had to go back to Florida. Ed Shoot, Steve Lutz.
so I roomed with Steve Lutz that summer and Mark Hall.
Okay.
And maybe Ed was the other guy because there's four, right? Four in a
Yeah.
cabin. And then I thought I
There was a red-haired guy that was like kind of crazy. That I don't know. Def Leppard Pyromania came out, and he was all over that.
yes, I do kind of. The other, I forget the other band he liked to listen to. Was it
Yeah.
Rainbow or Rat or something like that?
Right.
But yeah, there was
Yeah.
always music coming out of all those cabins down
Yeah.
there.
So, Tom, you're ready to
Yeah.
launch off of something like that. That was a big memory.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I was just looking through the questions. We've gotten there's a couple more simple ones here, like what's your favorite landmark or location at camp?
Honestly, from when I worked up there, probably outside those cabins down by the field house.
Oh
It was
wow.
kind of like a gathering area.
Sure.
And there was
Yeah.
always, people coming and going and hanging out and listening to
Yeah.
music, and it was kind of like the hub of everything. But
Yeah.
that was always kind of a fun place to be.
That's well, wow. We're gonna. I wish I had more of what we're about to show you, but I
Yeah,
think
let's
the sentiment was we're not in Boys Park.
Yeah,
We're allowed where the human beings are.
exactly. All right, let me share. Let me share
This is
the
great.
screen again. This
Have
is
you on.
good. All right, so Don, do you want to? This is blast from the past, right? Because we're
Yeah.
gonna step back in time here. Do you want to set this up, Don?
Sure. I wish I had more, but I think there's maybe 15 seconds of, and trust me when I tell you, Andy has not seen this, but man, this barely scratches the surface of 15 seconds of
Yeah.
15,000 hours of time that we spent down there. But for some reason, there's video I found of us outside one of those cabins, and oddly enough, I can't recall any time during my, I would have been 84, I was 17, which I think Andy, you might have been 19 or 20, but we were
Yeah,
all,
it would have been 19. Yeah.
yeah, we were living there. But for some reason, I have a pad and a pencil, and then behind us in the cabin, in the dark cabin, was Rob Mitchell, and he also was writing something down. And we're gonna need Columbo to figure out what we were doing, but I don't remember any time ever writing, like spending any time with a pencil in my hand that summer. But there's video evidence that we were doing
You were an author at a young age.
There you go.
No,
You go.
that couldn't have been
Yeah.
further from my mind, but
Jotting down your thoughts for the book.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe so, but I didn't know it then.
That's amazing. Well, some of this is pretty dark, and I
Yeah.
just didn't have time today to lighten it up, but we might do that when I
Okay.
publish this. Maybe we'll insert the 15 seconds here, but let's give it a shot.
Oh my word.
Look at these guys.
What in the world are you videotaping us for?
Exactly. Who was video? I think it might have been Scott.
Oh my
okay.
word.
But this is the shack at the point.
Yeah.
No?
No. This is
Where is this?
This is the
in front
Fieldhouse
of the
cabins.
cabins.
That's the
in front of
Fieldhouse
the
cabin. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Before they were moved back. Yeah.
Okay, so Fieldhouse cabins.
There were 4 of them, I think.
We get a better.
Yeah. That's me with a bowl haircut.
Oh my word. That's me with hair.
Amazing.
Oh my.
Oh, so
Wait,
right there.
Whatever that is, what are you writing here?
I don't know. I was writing something down, and then
So who's that guy sitting next to you there with the red shorts?
That would totally be you. Yeah,
Is it? Okay, yeah, I guess okay.
Oh yeah, that's totally you, man. And somebody had just been sitting there, and they left, and I missed like who they were and where they went, because it was, I don't know, I wasn't videoing, so it's not my fault. But
Right.
okay, so here's
I don't know
something.
Oh, this is like CSI stuff.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna have to like get the frames for that. Whoops, we moved forward. Sorry.
A little more.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to like freeze for just that
Oh my
one frame
word,
and
yeah.
see if I can figure out what you're writing.
Oh,
Oh, it's tantalizing.
and right behind my left shoulder was Rob Mitchell.
Doing the same thing.
With writing something down. There's a fan there he had, and somebody just left the bench. I want to say it was a guy named Greg with curly hair.
You're pointing though, like
Yes.
something's going on here.
Yeah, right. There's Rob Mitchell.
I think
Okay,
you wanted whoever's videoing this to go film what's going on inside this dark cabin.
And then the cameras didn't pick up dark very well. Okay, and that probably was Scott, because he was.
That looks like the camp directory, doesn't it? The staff directory.
Oh, maybe it was.
It could be, yeah.
He was starting to write his like off-season notes already or something.
Wow.
Or are they trying to figure out who a female camp staff member is?
Oh,
Go
definitely.
get
Who
the
he's gonna write to
directory.
over the winter.
Yeah,
Now that you
that's right.
Who's,
That makes
who's
total
worthy
sense.
of a letter?
Yeah, I would love to
uh,
lighten this up and see what's going on.
that's all I got, man.
But
Oh man.
I'm thinking it's pretty similar to what's going on here, right?
Well,
Whatever's
whatever it
going
was, it
whatever's
doesn't.
going on here is probably the same that's going on in the cabin.
Yeah, and again, there was someone that just left the bench and jotted the other way, and I, I should have put that in there but it was so blurry I couldn't even tell. So,
Oh my
Well,
word.
let's take a look at some of these amazing
yeah.
photos that you sent,
So,
Andy. What are we looking at
so,
here?
so on the left, that's my grandparents and my aunt, and I think it says 1934 at the bottom.
I
Gosh.
think it does right there. Yep.
Um, and
Wow.
then, so yeah, like I said, they've been going up there forever. Um, and then on the right is actually, I think that's in front of Schoonamaker's in town.
Okay. It says sodas, lunches.
Sodas, lunches, but that looks like the front of Schoonamaker's store up there.
Okay.
And my mom actually said that's what she thought it was. So that's my grandfather in the white shirt standing up, and then the person with the arms crossed is my grandmother, and I think that's my aunt kneeling down with the dog. So this would have
Okay.
been like the mid to late 40s, probably.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's such a great photo.
Wow.
And then so then on the left is my mom and my aunt on sitting down in the sand, the two on the left. And that's like the kids from whatever group they were, I don't know if they came up from like Queens and Long Island with them or if that was just kids they met up there. So that would have been like 38, 39 maybe. And
This
then
this is the beach at camp. Is this
yeah,
rock?
and that's the
That's
big
the
rock
rock.
down
It's
I
there.
just
still
saw
there.
that. Yeah, I saw that
Yeah.
5 days ago. It looks exactly the same, which probably
Yeah.
silly
Yeah.
because
That's amazing.
And
Amazing.
so
Okay.
so the middle picture was dated 1946. So that's my grandparents and my mom and my aunt in front of what's now Tibbetts Auditorium a couple of iterations ago. So again, like you start thinking about like that was like right after World War II. That was the summer after World War II. And I know there was at least a couple of years during World War II that they didn't go up because I guess gas was too tough to come by.
Mm. Okay.
And then on the right, that one's dated 1930. And fortunately, my grandfather wrote on the back of every single picture. So that's Pop Tibbetts down on the beach. Um,
Okay.
they apparently knew each other because well they've been going up there long enough.
We're gonna deviate just for a second and watch this because I'm fascinated by this. It's funny. Don't know if you knew this, but right here, there's a camp cam, and
Yeah,
here's
oh wow, yeah.
that's the rock. Yeah,
here's your rock right there.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Rock of
Many a
Ages.
many a children have climbed and fallen off that rock over the last
Yes, they
125
have.
years.
Harmlessly onto the sand, the Rock of Ages.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, everything else around that rock has changed, but that rock is still there.
Wow. There's something prophetic about that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
So on the left, that's my son's first year. That would have been 2002. So
Okay.
we had a jet ski, so we got him a wetsuit to match me. He was a
Wow.
year old there. That was his first summer up there. And then on the right, I'm sitting on my mom's lap. So I was either a year or two there.
Wow.
Um, this is pictures from my parents, so they're not quite as documented as the ones from my grandfather. So that was in front of Seneca. back
Yeah,
in like 66 or 67.
Wow.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
67. But yeah, so yeah, I mean that's the year Don and I were born there. That's
Yeah. And so then that's my two sons on one of the high peaks. Aiden's on the left. He's the one that's at Liberty now, and
okay.
Drew on the right. He's the one that graduated from Messiah. And then on the right picture there is my family at the infamous tree.
Yeah.
Um, so that's my sister-in-law is all the way on the left, and then me and Drew and my wife Michelle and Aiden. That would have been 2004 because that was his first summer up there.
Okay.
He wasn't quite a year old there. And then my mom and my brother Keith and Eric and my dad. And
Mhm.
then Keith's wife is sitting kind of up on the tree holding. He had three daughters, so she's holding the youngest one. And then my Eric's two boys are kind of peeking around the back there.
Back here. Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
do Keith and Eric live?
So Keith is down in Jacksonville.
Hmm.
He's a trauma surgeon down there at one of the hospitals. And
Hmm.
Eric lives 10 minutes from me in Mechanicsburg here. So,
Right.
Okay. And was this the family practice to meet up there every summer?
oh yeah, yeah, we'd kind of get our applications all in together, and we went up for a bunch of years.
Yeah.
And then my Eric's wife, her parents would come up, and my mom's sister and husband would come up, and my cousin and her four boys would come up with she and her husband lived in Binghamton, so they would all come up. So there was a pretty large group of kind of extended family that would be up there for a week every summer. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All
Ed
right.
Shoot.
So do you know who the
This is Ed Shoot.
That's
that's Ed
Ed.
Shoot,
Okay.
and
That's
Dave Palizzi's in
Dave
the middle,
Palizzi. All right.
and then
Okay.
me, and you know who the little kid is?
Should I?
Jim and
Ooh.
Carol Rumsey's oldest daughter.
Oh wow.
So
Oh my
she
God.
was born, I guess she's probably, I don't know, a year old in that picture. Not
Wow.
quite a year old.
Cool.
Yeah. And then the picture on the right is, I'm
Bit
thinking
north.
that's 85, maybe. I don't know that that was the winter of the fateful hike across the lake, but I came up
Yeah.
with the youth group. So I went to Messiah for 5 semesters and then quit. And I worked for a truck leasing company, and our church youth group was going up to camp, and they needed vans and they needed drivers. So I got a couple of vans, and I drove one of them up, figuring it's a day in Speculator is better than a day in New York at times. So
Yeah.
I kind of got a free weekend trip out of the deal to
Yeah.
drive so that might have been like 85 or 6. Like I
Okay.
said, it's possible it was that same year, but I'm not sure about that.
Right. So obviously that's Scott.
Yep.
It's- yeah.
Yes.
On the other end is Tracy. Then you
I
next to Scott. I'm
Pete Olson?
I'm not sure who's
I
next.
think that's Petey Olson.
Let me okay, that could be Pete. Yeah, Brian's brother. No, he's happy. Yeah, yeah. Scott would know. He's gonna watch this, and we'll
Are we
find.
sure he's happy? Scott's giving him a hug and saying, "Smile."
Scott's putting
I
a squeeze
remember.
on him there.
Yeah, and the statute of limitations is over, but I remember just Scott and I skied a lot at Oak Mountain, and one time we were walking, from the trail into the parking lot, and we found our car. Um, and then there was the car next to us. He looked in, and he was like, "Ooh, Milky Ways, I like those." And he opened the door,
Oh,
and there was a Milky Way like in the person's like between the two seats, and he just took it and shut the door, and got in our car and started eating the Milky Way, and we drove away. Just, I don't know.
Oh.
It sounds petty, but it
Where
just,
he doesn't, the person that's got strong arming there does not have skis. Where everybody else
oh,
has skis.
oh, good point, Tom. Yeah, those look like regular boots, but he has poles, like he's pretending to be skiing. Ah,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah, you're right.
We'll ask him about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, we got a couple more here under the category, a new segment called Celebrity Cameos.
Uh-oh.
Hey, all right.
What do we got
Oh,
here?
yes. That was 2 summers ago.
Okay.
And I kind of leading up to that, we were up there, we were staying off camp for, I think we were up 2 weeks. We were staying over at one of the Armstrongs cabins. And so we were up there for a week, and my cousin and her husband and one of her kids' families were coming up, and so we were hanging out on the like down by the wigwam end of the beach, and I think they were staying in Wichita. So I'm walking down. It's like Saturday afternoon, and I was like, "Yeah, I wonder if my cousin's here." So I'm walking down the beach, kind of bebopping along, and I get down. I'm like, "Huh, boy, that almost looks like Joanne Purdy." And I keep
Uh,
walking and don't, just like, right, what. And so I get down and my cousin wasn't there. So I'm walking back and Donnie, you and your dad are coming up from the teepee. And I think you had an ice cream cone that had like a gallon of ice cream on it.
I think
And it
Dad
was,
looks like he has a margarita, maybe.
I don't. I'd be
and
very
there was
surprised.
no, but that was catching up with them and just seeing them there because I had read the book and I kind of knew there was, some reconciliation going on there. And I had seen like the prior October, like Columbus Day weekend, somebody posted a picture, the work weekend where they closed camp up. Somebody had posted a picture and it was in Woodlands with your mom and dad in it. And I was like, but this was before the book came out.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what in the world is going on here? This is like crazy. But to see your mom and dad there, um, it just made me happy.
Yeah.
Oh, Andy, please, I can't wait to hear more about that. But let me comment on the picture that you saw from October of 23. Um, it, we yes, that was the weekend that we all went back, and it wasn't just, hey, let's just pop into camp. There was a lot that led to making that happen, and a big part of it was to be able to go back at that time of year without, it was hard enough to go back, for mom and dad especially. I was there that previous August, but to go back and not have to, I guess, for the lack of, to be social. And we,
Yeah,
we knew, though, we were, it was Jim and Carol Rumsey, and Jim Olson and Beth Markell, Jim and Deb Hammond were there for a dinner, like after we had been there for an hour, which huge build up to that. And we went to Woodlands or the Purdy Center after that, and uh, basically were able to, I guess, escape without. And then right when we were leaving the Woodlands lobby, somebody came up and like, "Oh my gosh, Donna Joanne Purdy, how you doing?" And somebody that they had been on staff with, or 3 decades ago,
yeah,
and can I get a picture? And they were. It all happened so fast, so they got the picture, and it was like, anyway. And then it showed up on social media uh, shortly after that, and there was, without any explanation, and there were, we weren't sure, like my mom and dad weren't sure, because it was still such a blur, all that had happened,
right.
like who saw it. But the fact that you saw it and like right now are sharing that,
Yeah.
you were like, hey, what's going on there? but it wasn't until the next summer when you realized more of what had gone on that led to them coming back. It just
Was
cracks
this
me
all
up.
was it all a book promo, Don?
No,
No.
that's
He
funny.
needed a good last chapter.
Yeah, right. That's so funny. Yeah. So no, this, I mean, honestly, looking at you and Dad right there, that was the first day that he had been back in camp in the summer,
Wow.
in
Yeah.
20
20
in
couple
22
of years, yeah.
22 years. Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
first day. Yeah, and that would have been the first picture he took with anyone. And there's another one I think with
Was it July 4th? Because those shorts are
well,
amazing.
yeah, he's very patriotic. Yeah,
It might have,
It
I'm trying
inspired
to
me
think, it might
tonight.
have been.
it
Yeah.
it was actually more like July 25th or ish.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it was probably 2-3 weeks after that. Yeah.
I
But
love
that was,
it.
I mean, that like seeing, just, and again, I'm walking down, I'm like, huh, it kind of looks like Joanne Purdy. And, not even like, just keep going. Cause like, when you don't expect to see somebody somewhere
Yeah.
and
Right.
you see them, it's like, wait, what.
But next time, Andy, next time you see her, you will give her a long, uncomfortable hug,
I,
right?
I've heard a couple of these where they talk of the unusually long, uncomfortable hug
Yes.
comes in.
I would appreciate if you could report back on
Yeah.
that.
Now, I won't give your dad a long, uncomfortable hug because I'm still afraid he'll smack me in the nose. That's for the hug, and that's for taking the Bronco.
That's
That's
right.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then another camp celebrity, Jimmy Owens.
Yeah, yeah,
He's a legend.
and he's just every time I'm up there, I guess he's up there what many or if not all weekends during
He
the
said
summer.
40. He said 40 weekends a year.
Yeah, he's
Okay,
got a he's got a place right there
yeah,
in
Yeah.
Speculator. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. But yeah, he's always it's always good to see Jim and catch up with him a little bit too. It's
yeah.
It's amazing.
It's funny though, Andy. That conversation right there, not necessarily the one with the three of us, but it's kind of, I don't know. Maybe I think you and I kind of stepped back, and Dad kind of got back with the family, but it changed the course of how that weekend went in this way because you were telling me that day, he's like, man, it's so good to see your mom and dad, and they look really good. And I'm, yeah, they're doing good. And you said something to the effect of, man, they're sharp. And I said, yeah, they are. And I don't know what you said or if it's something that I perceived you said or whatever. I got a quick thought in my head that, and yeah, they really are doing great. And
Mhm.
but that they're 81, 82, and they're doing awesome. But so many friends of mine, their parents, things happen and things change pretty quickly. So I'll after that, let me play out the rest of the day. We stayed a little while longer on the beach. We came home. I think we got dinner. Either we cooked it at home on the grill or oxbow, and then I got a text from Jack Zimmerman early evening, and he's like, "Hey, I heard your folks were here. I knew you were coming up. I understand you're going to the service tomorrow, uh, and you know, would do you think they would they mind being recognized at the service tomorrow?"
Oh.
And I'm sitting there. I get the text as I'm with all my family, including mom and dad, right there. And I'm like, hold on, let me discreetly think about this and respond. And I was totally taken back to just a couple hours before to the conversation with you back there on the beach, and thinking, okay, I knew Jack had said that he wanted to recognize mom and dad the next summer in 25 during the 20
Hmm.
125th anniversary. And I said, but so but I thought, thinking back to the conversation you and I had then at the beach, I thought, you know what? So I texted Jack back and I said, you know what? A few hours ago, I would have said, probably, probably not. I don't think so. But I said, given how well the day went at camp, at the beach, and at the teepee, and then a conversation I had with a friend about how they're doing, I said, I'm gonna go ahead and say, I sure, yeah,
Mm.
I think I don't think they'd mind if you recognized them at the service tomorrow. So. Um, Dad's anal about parking, and the so and about Broncos and GD. So the next day we all get ready to go. We go to this. So that was the first day we were at camp. The next day was going to be the first Sunday service, which is a whole other level.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so he had called a young gentleman there named George, like a kind of a assistant director, not it's Joy, someone in kind of middle level
Yeah.
leadership, about, hey, where do we park tomorrow? And so George said, oh yeah, I heard you're coming. Just park in the main parking area there. So we get to the auditorium. We're into camp the next day, and we're walking up. We just wanted to go up to the auditorium to the left and try to, stay off to the side and not really, we'll see who we see, but we don't want to make any big production out of it. But George meets us there, and he's like, "Oh, and hold on, good to see you." We're walking up, and we go up to the side of the auditorium, and we're making a left or making a right, actually, into the stairs. And he's like, "Oh no, no, we have seats for you in the
Oh,
middle."
no. Oh, no.
Yeah, and so they're like, what? So they take us to the middle of the auditorium, and we're there, 20 rows up in the middle. And so I shared this, I think, in the episode with Jim Olson and Beth Markel. But real quick, all this happened because of you, Andy, and a conversation
Oh,
that we had. Honestly, uh, and so a few minutes before, we're sitting there, and Dad's here, and a few of us are here, and Mom's here, and the rest of us. And I'm like, Mom, you might want to sit next to Dad here. And he's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I said, well, they might recognize you during the ceremony. I'm like,
oh, no.
Pretend you like each other.
Yeah.
right,
We don't want any rumors
exactly
started.
right. Yeah, and so she's like, what? And I said, yeah, I talked to Jack, and
It's Andy's fault. It's
so yeah,
Andy's fault.
it wouldn't have happened this year. It would
I'll
have
be
happened
in
the
the
next year.
next
They would have been
book.
prepared for it. I wouldn't have had this. But so he's okay, and Dad's like, "What? Huh? What? Okay, whatever." And so, yeah, Dad, they might recognize you during the service, and and so all of a sudden it starts, like, the music and the
Yeah.
flags and everything, and sure enough, a few minutes into it, they recognize Mom and Dad, and they're standing there next to each other. They stand up, and the rest of the family stands up. But yeah, that I figured initially I was just gonna, wait for the next year, but because of the conversation that I had with you, it made me respond to Jack like, okay, let's sure if you want to do it tomorrow, let's go ahead, and I think they'll be okay with it. But I never told them, so it was they had to kind of react to it, that morning. So anyway, it's funny, you see an innocent picture of us talking on the beach,
Yeah.
but it led a few hours later. It led to what happened the next day, and it was very special. So
Well, and I look, so now, you said, your mom and dad are in 81 or so.
yeah,
And so I'm like, all right, so they're 20, 21 years older than me. And then I start to think, so when I was working at camp, your dad wasn't even 40.
whoa,
And then I start to think, like, I can't imagine, like, I'm stressed out with two boys. I can't imagine the level of stress to have 200 teenagers
Yeah.
that you're responsible for. Like, like between your, between your mom and dad and your grandparents, and then your Uncle Bob, and then, Carolyn and Doug. I like that was such a family effort for all of those years. But then I just think, like, forget about dealing with, you know, hey, there's a broken pipe here, or there's a problem with this, or a leak in the roof here. But then you've got 200 lunkheads, like, that you're responsible for, and like, that just blows my mind for a guy who wasn't even 40 years old at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Tom's brought that up a few times, and I guess, use the word
Well,
providential or yeah.
but Andy, it's not just that they had the weight of that responsibility, they did it with excellence. Like the impact that they had, it's crazy.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, they were right where they needed to be.
yep.
That is exactly what God made them to do,
Oh, yeah.
and they did it amazingly. So I'm just amazed at the leadership skills, and the willingness to work with 200 lunkheads. I love it.
It's good word.
Oh,
It just, yeah. I mean, I got two, and it's like, enough.
yeah, I'm with you.
But
Oh,
who's putting soap in the fountain, and who's doing, I mean, who's putting the tying the apron around the bell clapper, and who's
oh.
putting the
You let
Indian up on the stage, and the table and chairs out on the raft.
Yeah, you
Like,
put snakes in the
that's kind of like
girls'
icing on the
cabin.
cake.
What? Yeah,
That was a bad one.
yeah. It's just yeah,
We're
but
gonna talk to yeah, Nancy
Feely.
McCargo. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
yeah. You knew them, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So then, yeah, she and Linnea then went to Messiah, the same year
Okay.
I did. But yeah, I think, I'm trying to think what year they started up there. It was 81
I'm gonna say, well, they were
or
there in
2.
'86.
Yeah, so I think they started in 81 or 2,
Okay.
and they would have graduated from Messiah in 87,
Okay.
Okay.
when I was supposed to graduate. But
Yeah. Be fun to talk with them. Yeah. So, but
yeah,
yeah, you're filling in a lot of gaps for us here, Andy. I knew you
Yes.
would.
but yeah, no, it was there was just some amazing years, summers. The just.
Yep.
And I don't, he's like, hey, I worked at a camp this summer. People don't realize, like, they don't understand what that means when you're talking about Camp of the Woods. And, it's, is it a camp? I don't know if you would call it that. I used to be.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I look at those pictures now, and this is the old guy in me coming out, like, things changed. I don't like it. It's not supposed to be like that. And I look at these pictures, with the auditorium and the tents and all that, and I'm like, this is a constant evolution.
Yeah.
And it's you start to, I kind of catch myself, like, okay, things are never going to be the way they were 50 years ago. And I kills me that I can actually say that. Like, I remember how things were 50 years ago.
Yeah.
You're not though the get off my lawn guy, Andy. Like
Yeah.
you say that with grace and
But it's it's all, you always complain. It was funny because I was talking to your dad a little bit about the summer, and just how he dealt with things, and made things happen. And we never, like, every single year we got the reservation in a room we wanted, right? And it's like, now we can't even log in the system when you're supposed to. It's like at noon on Tuesday, the Tuesday after you got home, you can log into the system. And my wife and I are both like, okay, it's 12 o'clock, it's 12 o'clock. Go, 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 enter, enter, enter. It's like we're on the phone. I can't get in. Could you get in? It's like
Yeah.
by the time you
But,
finally get in, like there's no rooms left.
well, it's funny, Andy. I can't wait for this part of the book to come out. But I interviewed the people that worked in the office in the '80s. One of them was Tracy. It was Judy Peck, Rachel Commons, Amy Briggs, Steve Hill, Judy, and so they were responsible for taking all of those reservations. And at the time, it was almost a year in advance where they would, take the reservations by phone starting November 1st.
Yep.
And there were all the people that wanted to have the same week with the same people around the same people, and they did all that they could to accommodate them. Uh, and then Judy Peck, uh, well, actually, Tracy and Amy and Rachel were saying that, uh, at night, all of a sudden, they would come in and see the reservation book, and they would see my grandfather's writing and erasing something and overwriting it with his that he wanted. And so they were like, we're gonna wait and leave that to Judy for the next morning. She can deal with him because he just
Oh, that's funny.
overrode something that somebody made a reservation for, but he told somebody else that they could have that accommodation in that
Oh
week. And
man.
so however Judy had to deal with that with him. It was just funny, but yeah, those were the efforts that were taken to ensure that people could get those weeks and around the same people. But it was all on the office then, not uh,
Right.
the way you just described.
Oh,
So
that's
good.
great.
That'll be in the next book, but
Good, good. So when is that? Is that in the
uh,
works or?
hopefully by next May
Okay.
it'll be out, and I can assure you that yeah, I saw some of the things that have conversations you and I have had will be in there. Tom gets a big old section in there, so
Scared.
but yeah, yeah,
I'm
most
scared.
of it. I guess I'll probably say this again during a podcast, but going into the first book, I had intended it to be kind of 50% from my and my family's perspective and 50% from other people. But once the spigot opened, things were triggered, it ended up being 70, 75% of my own. All the things came out, and so there was a lot left on the cutting room floor. So this next book will be more like 50-50, actually maybe more like 35-65 in terms of my own, and 65 of what I'm bringing in from other people that I thought I could bring in on the first. And but it's a little more difficult because I want to, all the stories that people shared with me, I want to make sure that they're accurate,
Yeah.
and kind of come together. It's a challenge, but it's a huge blessing to be part of it. So, but these podcasts are just they're they're so great, but they also just add so much more content to what I would want to put out there. But I just hope that I really appreciated the text I got from you, Andy, like the other day. Hey, I was coming back from Dulles Airport at night, and I caught the second half of somebody's podcast. Just the fact that were watching and listening, and now I can't wait to hear that people were watching and listening to your stories. So
Yeah.
Well, they're kind of the cool thing is I mean, I was up there for 4 years or yeah, I guess, yeah, 4 or 5, whatever, 5 years, I guess. But there's so many people on either end of that like Tom, I didn't know you at all.
Right.
Um, and just listening to these podcasts, kind of, getting to know you a little bit. And then, the people that you interview, there's a handful of them that they were after my time, or Dave Cruz. I was listening to that. Like, never, I would never have, I mean, he was up there when I was a guest, but just getting to know different people and their experiences and kind of the commonalities of, like this was baked into our family, and
Yeah.
it's really cool to hear that.
Oh, that means a lot. It does. Thanks.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, we won't keep you any longer. This has been fantastic, Andy. And
No, this has been great.
yeah,
It's
this will
there
be
was
entertaining for people to see your interview and listen. It's going to be it'll be a couple weeks so it gets out there, but
yeah.
are your sons going to go back next summer? Or?
So yeah, we're probably going to stay off camp again. We're not sure when we're going up. And okay, I got to ask, is there like a reunion week or something?
I
yeah,
think
where's
it's
Jimmy Olsen on that? We got to get that
we're
moving.
So
yeah.
so here's the thing, because like my son's probably gonna, well, we're hoping, and we're praying that he starts medical school
Okay.
next year, like August timeframe.
Yeah.
So we're probably coming up like around July 4th for a week, and then whenever this event happens,
Yeah.
if um, so I was like, so I said to Michelle, I said, hey, like, we'll probably stay off camp for the July 4th week, but then like, hey, we'll just get a room on camp for the, if there happens to be this reunion week. And I said, I think it's supposed to be week 9.
Okay.
And so she's planning ahead, because I would wait till week 8.5 to call. So she's like, I don't think there's a week 9. I'm like, no, I know there's no week 10, and I know Labor Day is off, but so I don't know what's going on. I think because of the TP construction, they may not have a week
Oh,
8. So
hmm.
and again, Jim Olson may be
He's the
I'm
man
just
on
kind
that,
of,
and I'm gonna press him on it because it feels like it's far away, but it's just we all know it's not like
Yeah.
that.
yeah. And
So
honestly, if it was week 8 or 7 or 9 or whatever, we're probably going to be there. So
well, one of the things I think Jim and Beth have realized is that the best way to plan it is for it to be a long weekend.
yeah,
Not a full week
Yeah.
because
right.
it's tough for people to commit to
Yeah.
that. But all right, Jim, I know you're watching. Get them done. We're Keith Young just reacted or reached out to me a few weeks ago too.
Wow.
Same question and others. So we better get to work on trying to plan that out. So, but
No, that'll be a great time. And again, like, just people I don't know that I'm listening to. It'll be kind of great to meet them in person.
Yeah.
likewise for you. Yeah, Andy.
Well, you're about to hear an interview with a staff member from Tapawingo that we just
Really? Okay.
interviewed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you won't know her, but it'll be interesting. I can guarantee.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Cool.
The knuckleheads that she
knuckleheads.
leaning
That used
on
to
for.
used to run back and forth in the boat.
Yep.
So, okay, you guys are both boat boys, so and I think statute of limitations is over.
Is
Um,
it?
and I'm still afraid of your dad, Don. But um, so it was like the end of it was like Labor Day weekend of, I don't know if it was 83 or 84. Rec staff, right? We had nothing to do because the summer was over.
Yeah.
There's a couple people playing shuffleboard or whatever. So so they need help down at the marina, going out to Tapawingo and getting the docks and I think the raft, the swim raft.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. So I go down there, and the plan was 2 boat boys, and I have absolutely no idea who they were. It's way too old, way too long ago. So we took the Fish Nautique and the Barefoot.
Mhm.
And so I was on the Fish Nautique, and we were going slow enough to make the biggest possible wake.
I know that speed. Yep.
And the barefoot was cutting across and seeing how much air they could catch.
Love it.
And so he caught some good air and he hits, and the canvas top that was folded up on the bow in front of the windshield all of a sudden lifts off. Like the whole thing, it goes airborne. And so the guy driving the barefoot panics because I think he was afraid of your dad too, and throws the boat in neutral and jumps overboard. Like, I don't know what he was going to do if he caught it, because now it's wet canvas that
Yeah.
is going down, and and so he didn't catch it.
No.
So he's bobbing out in the middle of Lake Pleasant, but when he put it in neutral, it didn't go into neutral.
Oh, yes.
So there's a boat boy in the water and a boat with no driver.
Heading towards shore.
So, so we pull up next to it, and I jump from fish, and it wasn't going, it wasn't going fast.
Oh,
But
this is a Hollywood stunt.
so we pull up, and I jump in, and he goes back and picks up the other guy, and then we get the docks and bring him back.
Oh my
The
gosh.
whole, I was like, I'm not saying anything.
This would
You
explain
just
why the
did.
time.
You just did. You started off
Okay.
with statute of limitations, but
Oh my word! It was the funniest thing in the world, because it's like
Wow.
it's the whole
Mm.
you're jumping in to catch this stinking hunk of wet canvas that you're not going to be able to catch and bring
Okay.
back to the surface.
But GLP-2 fear is a real thing.
It is. No,
Yeah.
and it's funny because it was many of the adults. So when I worked in dish room, you're back there as every 15-year-old does, and you have a hose with a sprayer on it, and a bunch of other 15 or 16-year-olds back there. So what do? Right? You squirt each other with the hose until Ken Reed comes through the door. And
Okay.
then he doesn't have to say a word. His
Yeah.
presence alone,
Oh my word.
everybody scrubbing dishes, right? You're carrying, right? You're carrying who can carry more plates out to the plate warmers, and Mrs. Thompson's out there. And the stack is up above your shoulder, and it's going back, the whole thing is going back and forth. And she would just kind of look at you, and you would, put it down and maybe split it in half and take the other, or
you were hot too, right? Those plates were hot.
yeah. Or you're in the teepee goofing around, and Mr. Fisher would just kind of look around the thing, wouldn't have to say a word, but all of a sudden everybody kind of straightened up. And
Yeah.
I remember your dad, you'd be in either staff meeting or in chapel, and you're leaning back and you got your feet up on the empty seat in front of you, and he would just kind of look back and he would do something like this. And you'd put your feet down on the floor.
Andy, you said so much there in terms of
Oh,
the direct fear, respect you had for my dad. But Tom has made the point multiple times about the people that dad and my grandpa and dad in camp leadership chose to be in leaders,
yeah.
other leadership that also were of the same ilk. And you just spoke so much of that in those stories there.
So good.
Yeah.
It was just, I mean, the Jerry Birds of this world, he was the maintenance guy.
Yeah.
But he had such an effect on so many people that worked for him.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Peck, and just the whole, the list goes on and on about, again, before your Uncle Bob really started to focus on ministering to the staff necessarily. I think there was so much of that happening. Jim Rumsey with the rec staff, he just poured his heart and soul into that. And it was for years that was going on.
Yeah.
and music staff. You read you read some of the stories in the book from the people that were served under your Uncle Doug.
Yeah.
The impact that whole program had on him is amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that's good stuff, Andy. Yeah, that's I've learned
Yeah.
more about that since the book came out, and there will be more about that in another one. But leave it to you to summarize and recall some of the the people and the leaders that were part of that. But um, yeah, I was excited to been looking forward to this for a long time to talk with you and
Yeah, no, this has been awesome.
yeah,
A
can't wait
lot
for
of fun.
folks to see it and hear it and maybe we'll also connect at Oak Mountain like we did a couple years ago, right?
Oak Mountain or after Christmas in Buffalo. We're still working on we're
Oh,
still deciding, right?
that's right. Yeah.
So my wife's cousins live up there and they're big Bills fans and so we said something to them and they're like, we're not going. That's too late in the season. It's gonna be freezing cold. What are you guys out of your minds? And so Michelle's like, yeah, maybe we won't go to the game, but maybe we'll go up there.
Well, we'll do.
And Drew, you and Brittany and Aiden can go watch the game, get
There you
tickets,
go.
and maybe we'll
Yeah,
sit somewhere
it's a good TV
inside.
sport. My daughters are going to the game.
Are they?
Yeah, but yeah, yeah. So more business to talk about. So
Cool.
yeah.
All
Nice.
right. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for the opportunity. And
Oh,
like I said, I don't know that I've seen or heard all of these, but a pretty fair number of them. I forget where I was driving home from. I forget if I was coming home from like Newport News, Virginia or something. And it was just kind of like one after the other, after the other. And I can get,
love it.
That's
I
awesome.
got like, nearly a season in on one long drive.
Oh,
Wow.
I might have been going down to Washington. I go down there quite a bit. So
and
that
that's
like,
so gratifying to hear because I love obviously Tom and I getting caught up and talking with folks, but I love to hear when they've been on and other people are catching up with them and the same way they're going to be doing with you. So it's
yeah, no,
it's fun.
this is great. And you guys are doing a great job with it and keep it up. And
Thanks.
Don, if you talk to your parents, tell them I said hi and tell them I didn't do anything. It wasn't my fault with the boat. That was the main thing.
Good
I
save.
was just a passenger.
You were the
Yeah.
hero in that story. Yes.
All right, we'll do.
All right, guys.
Absolutely
Thanks,
amazing.
Andy. It's been great.
Hey,
All
we'll
right.
talk to you. All
All
right.
right. Good night.
Yes.
Yep.